I guess I better record before my hair falls flat again. The struggle is real, my friends. And today I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. My birthday is coming up, and I want to talk about midlife transitions. And of course, I want to tell you that we have heard about this midlife crisis. But you know what? Midlife crisis really doesn't exist. About 10 or 20% of people are the ones who really experience that. However, according to a report that I was reading that was co produced with Udemy, right, says that the majority of people, over 40%, are talking about having high levels of fulfillment in their relationships. 70% report that they're incredibly fulfilled in their career and that they are happy where they're at. Now, they're not in crisis. Middle-aged people are not in crisis. What we are on is a transition. And I've experienced that. And I see this as a conscious revelation of what really matters, right? And that is that we become more aware of the pillars in our life: career, fitness, relationships, legacy. I remember thinking, what is my legacy? Now, I want to tell you that the concept of midlife is the potential to break through and redefine for ourselves personal and professional lives. So, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we may be experiencing and what are the things that we can do to make this the best time of our life. So, here are some of the challenges, right? When we get into midlife, there's a lot of things that career is going to change. We're going to have some sort of come to Jesus. Is this the career that we want to be in? Did we get as far as we wanted to? And of course, individuals sometimes explore new career paths because you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I hate this. Why am I doing this? That's really big. And LinkedIn actually discusses this. And I'm going to link the article here in the bottom. So make sure that you go to the chat and share. Have you experienced any career challenges for yourself? Now, of course, not only career challenges are experienced during midlife, but you're going to encounter some personal growth challenges. And what do I mean by that? Well, midlife is a time of introspection. I remember as I was getting ready to turn 50, a lot of these things started to kind of bubble up in me. And I thought, what have I done? Who am I? Do I even like who I am and what I'm doing? A lot of these questions can lead to greater personal growth and fulfillment and a deeper sense of purpose if you allow yourself to think about it. And I think that many of us have parents that hit midlife and they weren't asking these questions. They were just kind of pushing along, and somewhere along the line, and I know this happened to my mom, when you turn a certain age and you hit that midlife, you were told, okay, you're old. But we know that we're not. We're living very thriving, active lives. And we have redefined, right, what growing older can be. Most of us are growing welderly, not elderly. So it's very important to, as you're doing this personal growth assessment, that you come back and you reclaim your passion. And many people in midlife, this is why they're finding that they're more fulfilled, that they're happier, because as they explore that sense of purpose and what do they want to make sure that they leave as a legacy, they're also beginning to reconnect into their passions. When life happens, many of us have to kind of stifle our passions because we have to do the thing. We have to go to get a job, go to college, have kids, get married. And a lot of these things are competition for our passions, the things that really make us, our hearts sing. And I remember for me, one of the biggest things that I loved to do for many, many years was dance. And I realized not so long ago that I don't dance as often as I would love to or as I'd like to. And what a great feeling. And it just helped me feel myself when I was dancing. So it's very important that as you continue to do this assessment and this personal growth track for yourself in midlife, and you start to reclaim the things that you're passionate about, it's important to then redefine your priorities because, well, sometimes our priorities prior to now have been laid out for us, right? Many people in midlife are the parents that were having to be there for kids, take them to soccer, make sure that they were doing the school meetings, make sure that they were going to work, making a living, climbing the corporate ladder, whatever it is, or just being that stay at home mom that really kept the home together and running. But the priorities are going to change as the time and as the things that you're doing are shifting. Maybe you don't have kids in the home, or maybe it's time for you to change your career because you figured out that this is not what you feel your purpose is, or you figured out that your passion doesn't lie in what you've been doing for so long. This is a time to really become the leader of your life and to really become the person that really leans into leading. And leadership is something that starts with why. And this is why I encourage you to go back, find that personal growth, do the assessment, what lights you up, and what are the things that are not working, and how can you reconnect to the things that you love. Now, during midlife, I know that there's a lot of career stagnation, or some of us are ending a career and we are not sure what the next step is going to be. I have many friends that have been in the same career job for 30, 40 years. And then all of a sudden, they're really trying to figure out what does this mean when they're not defined by that job, by that title. And they don't even know what is next for them because they don't necessarily want to go all in a career, right? But they also don't want to sit home and feel like they don't matter. So explore the different things that are available to you. And again, set new goals. Perhaps you never thought that you could be a runner. Maybe that is a goal. Or perhaps you are the person that never really cooked, right? But this is the time where you can explore what it's possible. Now, many of us are going to definitely need the support. And this is why community is incredibly important because sometimes as we're breaking through and going through this self reflection process, we are going to be seeking support. We need to see that it's possible. We need to understand that we're not alone in what we are doing and what we're thinking or what we're experiencing. You know, I have a friend that just launched a book, and he really, in his early 20s, he was a mess. I hope he's not mad I'm talking about this, but he talks about it in his book. He really went through a lot of turmoil. He was involved in drugs, he was in jail, and then he turned his life around and he found his calling. And as he dove into this calling, he spent many, many years building a church, ministering to others, being the leader of a community, a religious community. And all of a sudden, he shifted. And it had to be challenging in the sense that he was often Pastor Bill. And now all of a sudden, he was Bill again. And what did Bill like? What did Bill needed to do? And what was he called to continue in this new journey doing? For many of us, we have two sides of the coin, or, our energy, right, is going to be fueled by our emotions. And our energy that we're going to put into many different things is going to come from what we are thinking, right? If we are thinking 50 is it, or midlife, oh, my life is over, then you're going to start to show up in your life like that, right? However, if we start to think, wow, this is such a blank canvas for me, I can define what this is going to look like. I can be that fit person. I can be the person that writes a book. I can be the person that goes to Kilimanjaro and climbs that mountain, or the person that takes a sabbatical or is volunteering finally at that dog shelter, right? So think about the picture of what you want this new stage in your life to be and begin to craft it, begin to act as that person, because then you will build the momentum. Think about it. When we feel like crap and then we feel like, oh, this is going to be a terrible day. And then all of a sudden, our brain starts to focus on all of the negative that is going on. I have a friend as well that, She was mad at another friend. And of course, it happens, difficulties and challenges come up in all relationships. But all of a sudden, she started to internalize when her friend went out without her, when her friend was, doing traveling without her, or whatever it was. She kept thinking, she hates me. She doesn't want me in her life. So those emotions began to get in her way of how she was relating to her friend. And you know what I saw in these two friends? I saw that they continued to grow apart because each of them thought something totally different than what the other one was experiencing. And for many of us, we need to really be clear and we really need to get honest and say, hey, I see this, I want that. And if we don't say that, if we don't acknowledge it, and then we go down the rabbit hole or thinking a worst case scenario, then we're going to act and live in a worst case scenario. So I encourage you, my friends, that if you are in this midlife, begin to find your groove, find the things that you love, find the things that you're good at, and pursue them. This is why that ikigai is so important. And if perhaps your life is not what you wanted it to be, and maybe there's some broken pieces in there, it's okay to recapture those pieces and reform something new. There is my friend Lisa Pulliam often talks about how it's the act of, I forget, it's in another video, but you take these pieces of broken pottery and then you begin to meld them together with gold, with silver, and they become a brand new creation. They become this beautiful new thing that is stronger, by the way, because it has the metal. So don't think of your life in broken pieces. Think of your life as the new opportunity to recreate, reclaim, recreate, become, and most of all, make a conscious decision because you have the power. It doesn't matter how many inspirational videos you watch. It doesn't matter, who you're reading and who you're sitting around looking at thinking, I wish I was that. It's going to take some conscious intentionality, a decision for you to act. So pick one thing. You don't have to go big on anything, but pick one thing that you really want to explore. Perhaps you want to go ahead and explore what your passions are, or really be able to figure out, what do I feel is my purpose? What are the things that maybe I need to reclaim? Is it a new career? Maybe is a relationship with others, with yourself? Only you can redefine that and then begin to prioritize. Pick one of these things that you're going to do. I'd love to hear what you are doing in midlife and share with me in the comments because I love to hear this and I'll definitely share some of the ideas and some of the things that other people are doing in the comments. But really, share with me, how are you reclaiming midlife? How are you becoming the person that you envision is thriving as opposed to, well, just existing? We are going through so many emotions in midlife, and without a sense of purpose, without a passion for what we're doing, we're not going to break through and we're going to continue to exist. I know that we can do it, my friends. I know that we can work at this together and we can create a community that cheers for each other, supports each other, and we stop thinking that the negative things about each other, because those negative things not only create vast divides, but it creates a lot of angst in us. So go confidently, my friend. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. And if you don't know what your dream is, it's time for you to explore. Until next time, I'm so glad that you joined me today.